And welcome to my new video. I'm really pleased that you've joined me on this particular one. I want to talk about the Wi-Fi, and I want to talk about the effect that the internet, and not so much the internet itself, but the radiation from EMFs and how they affect us, and also the connection to Atlantis and the connection with the pyramids. And it seems fairly bizarre to just put all of those things together, and I'm making this video fresh out of this day in which I've been researching these themes, some of which more than others, and some of which are kind of like a long term thing that I've been interested in. So my question is, how are they all related? Because I have found connections very intuitively and before me as I've researched, and I've been considering, okay, what's the connection between these guys? So this is really kind of a something to throw out there to initiate discussion, as opposed to giving you the answers, because I don't have the answers. And this is like the beginning of my research, really. So it's like, hello, I don't have much output in terms of specific data or connect information. So it all started for me, and really the main theme is there danger around things like the Wi-Fi, and what does 5G mean? What is 4G? And what is going on with pollution and in terms of electromagnetic waves and radiation? And why does that bother me? And I want to share my testimony of that, really. So I have always been fairly sensitive to other people's emotions, the environment. I can sense things, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. And I also remember my mum mentioning that to me at a young age, and whenever we were in like Asda and they had these huge fluorescent lights, mum would just be totally flabbergasted, just say, because it fatigued her. And that is commonly seen. It's like something called EMS, electromagnetic sensitivity, I found out today, which the World Health Organization have found to be triggered by fluorescent lightings, environments, badly organized workstations, just disharmony in the working environment. So I have felt that, and presently I have felt a lot of bother as I've been reading and watching videos about Wi-Fi, 5G and all this stuff. 5G being phased in the UK, I think this year, 2019. My bother from it has been that in a lot of places that I've worked in the last few years, not obviously, if you don't know me, then I've worked in humanitarian charities. So a lot of the time there's computers involved because there's databases, safeguarding confidentiality, information that needs to be kept secure, and then there's a plethora of emails. So all these things are really important, and I love technology, but I have nevertheless felt influenced in a negative way from the environments, from using technology for a long period of time. It made me feel exhausted. I couldn't think straight. I didn't feel like alive. I felt depleted. No matter what, I resorted to caffeine, but I also started drinking. It actually, to be honest, it spurred me on and served me to find healthy nutrition, healthy drinking habits, and to research things that can support me in environments that have felt quite harmful to my kind of soft spirit. And the strength and the fire has had to come up to support me. So it has felt overwhelming in places where there's a lot of tech, a lot of kind of infrastructure, and I've just been like, I get me to nature. I grew up in the countryside, so I'm just like, please, I need to go and find a tree. And I used to kind of not make fun, but I didn't really just think much of tree huggers and barefoot walkers or anything like that. But in the last couple of years, I have been in it to the max. Let me just hug this tree, or just touch this tree with my bare hands. let me put my bare feet on the ground. I need to feel the ground. And it's actually like, I bloody well need to feel the ground. Like, I don't care how cold it is. Because my body is like, I'm carrying inflammation. And that's what grounding really helps reduce is inflammation. And I have felt inflamed around a lot of tech. Now, some of that is anxiety caused by too much connection. So it might not just be the waves of the Wi-Fi routers, because there's not actual evidence of that in terms of mainstream evidence. But there is evidence of it contributing towards nervousness, probably just the thoughts of what is this, how is this affecting me? And also there is potentially low-level heating through being around lots and lots of Wi-Fi emitters. So there is potential inflammation there from the anxiety and the heat and the kind of distractions that are presenting around you in workplaces where there's a lot of screens, a lot of phones ringing, a lot of things going on. Now, it's interesting because that makes me think of people who suffer from ADHD, who feel distracted, who have thoughts in other places. Perhaps it's connected to autism. I don't know, but for me, it's this hyper connection to all these different things, distraction, and I have felt hyper aware of different things going on, and having access to a plethora of things on the net, of being responsible through emails and phone calls with clients, had just caused me, I think I just got burnt out, which led me to quit my job last year. And on, one level, no one would have known that was going on. And I didn't actually have anyone to talk to about that in the workplace as an official kind of thing let's talk about. So that's an interesting point. Well-being conversations around technology in the workplace, especially in London, in cities. So that led me into an arena of let's connect with grounding, and I avidly researched grounding, and I bought a grounding mat for a mouse at the computer, and that helped me. But it's like something's not quite functioning here. We even got a grounding sheet for our bed, which 100% I would get another one if it broke or ripped in half. It really works, especially if you're traveling a lot and you're moving around, there's lots going on. You just completely rewire when you sleep on a grounding sheet. I really have found that, and I've had it for about a year now, and I've noticed on the nights when I've been away that when I actually wake up, my hands sometimes are inflamed. It's crazy. So the techniques that we can use around technology, and this brings me back to, I love technology, and I'm in a beautiful relationship with a man who is in IT development, and so we have a lot of Wi-Fi on, a lot of computer stuff, because naturally he loves it, and he's not sensitive in the same way that I am. And this makes me consider, what if the antennas and the sensitivity that we feel towards, for example, technology and radiation and pollution, what if that is a collective antenna that we're feeling on behalf of others? What if we're all equally affected, but for others it's more subconscious? So it does feel like some kind of beautiful responsibility to work through your sensitivities, to communicate with others, and to find an avenue of healing to serve everyone. So rather than complain at someone else who doesn't feel that and feel victimized, how can you not understand me? It's like, how can I serve you? How can you listen to me too? But how can I serve you by really stewarding this mission, in a sense, part of the mission, this intuitive and real reaction to something. So really holding that and treasuring that, rather than seeing it as some kind of attack, because I think that's the problem when we go down this route. It's very the government is creating Wi-Fi and 5G to attack us, and really there is probably something in that, and that's a completely different subject really. But I really wouldn't pair off with that and go in that line in terms of I'm attached to that theory, because I really want to stay in a place where I believe that even if that's going on, I believe in a possibility where a world where we can be harmonious and benevolent. And it takes strength to see that. Let's choose that. Let's choose to desire that strength, because there's enough conspiracy and kind of dark, edgy conspiracy, which you need to a degree, but also we need something which forms a third way, a middle way, which transcends, like the Visca Pisces, transcends up, and you create something new. So, so this brings me to Atlantis and the pyramids. Now I have this beautiful crystal here. Ta-da! And I've forgotten the name of this one, but I love him. And he even comes in the car with us sometimes when we have long journeys. Some of it's just the knowledge that the crystals there is just great because they're so beautiful, and they look at it and you just feel like, wow, the harmony and beauty of this. But also the pyramid shape. Now pyramid shapes are found to be very supportive to just well-being. I mean, there's a lot of stuff on the internet you could research, and they're also transmitters. So when you have anything that's pointing up, it's generally can be used as a transmitter, right? Like an antenna. So when you look at the pyramids in Egypt and elsewhere in the world, because they are also elsewhere, then some people see them as transmitters and connecting a global kind of matrix of transmission around the globe. What they're transmitting is another kind of subject altogether. And I feel fairly strongly that the pyramids are very connected to Atlantis. Now, the whole of the myth of Atlantis is really a whole other subject as well, but Atlantis interests me because I feel that the technology today is very connected to something Atlantean. So whether you believe that Atlantis exists or not, you can still connect to the essence of it, which is a story in humanity. You know, like Hansel and Gretel is a story, and you can still connect to the themes of Hansel and Gretel in your life because maybe it relates to something you've experienced or there's an essence in there. So the story of myths, whether or not, you don't need to believe whether they're real or not, but they still teach us something and contain something. So the containment in Atlantis, which I want to bring out in this bit, is pretty much this ancient technology which was starting to really be solidified, either through pyramids or through crazy stuff that I just wouldn't even understand. And the connection to the technology now is such that I believe the way that the pyramids and the way that some of the buildings were made, the ancient buildings that have been found, are built on geometry. And I believe Atlantis and Lemuria, which is closely connected, contained these geometries, and something went a bit awry, and then Atlantis fell because there was some sort of conflict between the energies and things going on. There was basically some kind of manipulation and a warring mentality which came in. But that's all good because we have to work through those. And to a degree, are we still experiencing that now? Could be. And the geometries that the cities were built on, and that have been found in buildings and pyramids and structures in ancient ruins, like the Mayan culture, and even if you look at cathedrals, things are built on ancient frameworks, and there's a lot of geometry involved and beautiful harmonious structure. So that's what I want to get to, is that when I feel the pain of the current technology and the way that we might be being polluted from different things, it's not so much a case of it's more the entire, we have to look at the big picture. We are not building our societies around sacred geometries. We're not building our societies around sacred sites. We're not building our societies so much in a harmonious pattern. We're building square houses along a straight line road. It's very Roman, and I don't want to like poo-poo Romans, but like I just want to say that this is just a very one way, one road, square houses, square blocks of flats. It's very like one next to the other, very predictable. And the problem with that, I feel, is it becomes a uniform structure. And we have that in workplaces, desks all lined up together. It's just totally uncreative. And that breeds this kind of head down, numbed feeling. And when you breathe the air from the depths of the sea, and you've come up and you've breathed your life-giving air and you know what it is to live, then you can't go to that space because you're like, oh, like I'm free. So I want to create these structures that can lift us all up. I don't know how that looks, but but I know that we can build these, whether it's just within our little home. So we make a different kind of structure for our home. We bring pyramids and different like geometries and patterns that feel harmonious, rather than something which is just straight and 90-degree and simply like that. Because there's a lot of wisdom in these alternate shapes, and it's really out there to research. So what I would like to connect to in this video is the Atlantean, what was in Atlantis. There is something there to reconnect to. So almost that the distortion in technology today has got kind of a root there, but also the answer is also there. So it's sort of like going in and cleaning out and having a look, and that's very intuitive, but also it's very logical, because there's a lot to find on the internet about how to make technology better. You know, all these negative feelings we have about tech, we have about EMFs. Actually, it's not to erode what we've created and developed, but it's to support an advancement. Let's keep advancing. Let's keep editing what we have. Let's not stick to what, religiously stick to, oh, this is what we have now. Let's actually look into what we can improve. And there's some legislation on the European Parliamentary resolution documents. It might not be legislation, it's more like a recommendation, I think, about such as mobile phones, Wi-Fi, and their potential hazards. And there's some interesting things in there about setting boundaries, and about actually preferring to use Ethernet cables in the home, especially in schools as well, where there's young children, because there is potential cellular not manipulation, but a change in cellular structure, I think, particularly for children and for pregnant mothers. So there is something there further to look at if you're interested in that. So it's a rabbit hole, and it's important to do your own research and to see what you think. But this is essentially to start the conversation and to allow a kind of freedom and a flow of air, just to say, yeah, I'm thinking about this, and let's not just go with what's accepted mainstream. Like let's question, should we have the Wi-Fi on 24/7? Should we turn it off at night? Let's try it out. Let's see if it affects us. Let's experiment, and let's take things into our own hands, enjoy, and in preference for greater wellness for ourselves and our communities, rather than just to be like conspiracy and suspicious about things. That's not the point. And essentially, the beautiful thing about harmonious structures is it brings community, because it's involving, it's often circular. So it brings people in together. So we've become very separate. So as we focus on these beautiful patterns, we can focus on how we can bring community in together. So that's going into something else there, but I just want to leave it on that, because it's something I'm so passionate about and hope to contribute towards going on into the future. So thank you. I hold my beautiful crystal, and we say goodbye, and thanks very much for watching.